Hello, I'm here with Angela Duckworth, who is connecting with me from her home in or around Philadelphia. She's a
In
Penn alum.
Philadelphia.
You're in Philadelphia. And you are a professor of psychology at Penn, an alum from the psychology PhD program at Penn. And you're also the founder and CEO of the Character Lab. And most famously, you're a best-selling author of the book Grit, The Power of Passion and Perseverance. So here's the first question for you, Angela. How can the ideas in your book help us all cope with the current crisis?
I've been thinking, as everybody has, about what's going on, but I think of everything through the lens of psychology. And here's what I want to say. Everyone knows that this country was founded on the idea that we all have the right to pursue happiness, right? The pursuit of happiness was, the idea that our founding fathers had. But I think what this crisis is teaching us is that really the happiness is in the pursuit. So it's really the happiness of pursuit. And what I mean by that is that during this crisis, what has been, among other things, very stressful for people is that their pursuit of goals, the things that they used to do, like get their work done, have their meetings, it's been disrupted. And for many people, part of the unhappiness is not making progress on goals that they found valuable. Grit is pursuing long-term goals with passion and perseverance. And I think what this crisis teaches us is that if all of us want to be happy, if any of us want to be happy, we do have to find ways that we can restart our pursuits, maybe from our home office, like I'm working, like you're working, maybe in ways that were unforeseen. But human beings, and not just, the most ambitious human beings, all human beings are happiest when they are pursuing goals and they are making some progress.
Okay, that's wonderful. Let me ask you a second question. Let's switch gears a little bit. As I mentioned earlier, you're the founder and the CEO of the Character Lab. Maybe you want to explain a little bit what the Character Lab does. But the question is, what steps have you taken to keep your team at the Character Lab safe and productive?
Several years ago, I started this nonprofit called Character Lab with two educators. And when I say educators, I don't mean university professors. These were two teachers who were working with school children. They were education leaders. And they said, what if we had professors like you work with K-12 educators like us on how children can thrive? And we named it Character Lab after Aristotle, who talked about character as being the good life, and also Martin Luther King, who said that character and intelligence are the goals of education. So I have 20 plus people who work at this nonprofit. We usually run science activities for professors like me in schools to learn more about growth mindset and grit and curiosity and gratitude, et cetera. But now schools are closed. And like every other office, we've had to also sort of quote unquote shut down in-person operations. And for us, that was actually even more traumatizing in a way because we had a one roof policy for our nonprofit. We said we have no remote workers. So if you're going to work for Character Lab, you have to be in the 19104 zip code under this roof, and we get to see each other every day. We have a group meeting, and that's been disrupted. So since Friday, really, we haven't been in the office, and we've been having meetings. We had a cocktail hour, sort of happy hour remotely, where people wore funny sweaters, and I guess everybody was just like in front of their computer with their drink, and it's actually been a little bit of a transition, but I think it's, like every other disruption, you're guaranteed to learn something. And one thing that we learned is that the one roof policy is great, but it is possible to have community and conversation and practical jokes through video. And so we are actually rethinking even now whether once everything calms down, whether we're going to go back to exactly the same routines, or, for example, are we going to be a little more flexible on our one roof policy? And we don't know, but we are learning.
Thank you. And how many employees do you have right now?
We have, give or take, depending on how you count, 20.
Okay, so it's a small but very dynamic
Small,
undertaking.
but not tiny.
Last question for you. You're a mother as well as a psychologist. So what do you think is the best way to help children cope with the situation?
When parents think about their kids, and a parent can't not think about their kids, I've got an 18-year-old and a 17-year-old. At any moment, they might burst through the door to the home office because the printer is over there. So occasionally in my video calls, like they've just been walking back and forth. So every parent is thinking about their kids. And I think the answer to this question really depends on the kid. As every parent knows, I mean, even if you have two kids, they might have two very different psychological profiles, and they might have different responses right now, and they might therefore have different needs. So I'm just going to speak to one psychological need. I think that is probably the case for many students, but not all. And it does apply to my kids, though. And that is the following. Now, human beings, including kids, including students, a lot of our life is habit and routine. And in some research studies, almost half of the behaviors that people do during the day, brush our teeth, the first drink of water, exercise, et cetera, homework for students, is at the same time and the same place every day. It's a habit. And that makes it kind of on autopilot. And you sort of do it without actually a lot of conscious thought and effort. Now, the problem for many kids is that now those cues, those routines, those rituals, like, okay, you go to homeroom, then you sit down in your seat, and then your teacher passes up, like, it's all gone. And instead, what we have is 168 hours a week of just kind of undifferentiated time where, like, at some point you're supposed to do your reading, and at some point you should probably start studying for the SAT, and at some point you should actually brush your teeth. At some point you might want to change out of your pajamas, maybe. And I think it's very challenging for all people, including young people, to actually get the things done that they want to get done without those cues, without those routines, without those social norms. And I think the advice that I have is to recreate those structures. So if you don't have like the bells of your school going off at a certain time, then you might want to just make a commitment to say, like, every time at dinner, or maybe you do this after dinner, I'm going to actually just take a piece of paper. This is what my kids have been doing. And like literally blocking out their day. At 8 o'clock, I want to do this. At 9 o'clock, at 9:45, I'm going to take a walk. And it can have fun things in there too. Like, I want to be on Instagram from 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock. And, then I'm going to go read my Tolstoy book because I'm supposed to for English class. But I think you have to recreate the structure that is part of daily life, but obviously not part of daily life when we're in these very unusual circumstances.
Okay, that's a great piece of advice. So thank you so much, Angela, for sharing with us all of your wisdom, and stay healthy. And I wish you a very greedy weekend.
Thank you. It's been really fun.